Hello, everyone, and welcome to the world's most famous podcast produced by Beverly Hills Magazine. I am Jacqueline Maddison, editor in chief, and your host. Today, we are thrilled to welcome the extraordinary Dr. Tenia Davis, an author, leadership coach, and founder of Leadership Wise. With a mission to empower individuals and organizations to thrive through authentic and effective leadership, Miss Davis brings a wealth of knowledge from her extensive career in corporate leadership, higher education, and coaching. Her approach focuses on building trust, nurturing emotional intelligence, and inspiring transformational change. We are excited to dive into her insights on leadership, career confidence, and the strategies for creating thriving workplaces. Let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Tenia Davis. Dr. Tenia Davis, it's such an honor to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us today. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good, good. So, want to congratulate you on your success, your career achievements, and also on your book, which I'm excited to learn more about. Why don't we get started with you telling us a little bit about your background? You've had an incredible journey in corporate leadership, higher education. What inspired you to create Leadership Wise, and what is the core mission of your work?
There are a couple of things. I've kind of grown up through the ranks of uh, as a human resources practitioner in corporate America, and uh, just fascinated with how leaders evolve. Some evolve faster than others, some are not able to evolve. And I'm always flooded with questions of how can I do this better? How can I lead my team? And so it's really around my deep passion for empowering leaders to rise above challenges. And how can I inspire groups to achieve and contribute to the greater good of the organization?
Absolutely. Now, is this just in corporate America, or could your teachings also be applied to, let's say, a father in a household? Like, kind of, is it just general personal leadership skills?
No, I say it arches over everywhere, personal,
Mm.
professional, communication, interactions, relationships, they're all the same and the challenges are the same. The
Right.
settings are different. However, the challenges are the same.
Good point. So now you emphasize the importance of trust in leadership. How can leaders cultivate and maintain trust within their teams, especially in today's fast-paced virtual work environment?
Absolutely. I would say it begins with consistent communication and transparency. Leaders that prioritize active listening and engaging with their teams tend to build trust a lot faster, especially in a virtual setting. We have a lot of dispersed workforces now, and that has a higher demand around communication, interaction, setting clear expectations, making sure folks feel they're recognized and they're valued. And then trust, of course, is woven into all of that. And it's definitely connected to what you do on a daily basis. It's not a one-time event. So trust is a huge factor. I think some companies are still trying to figure out what that means in the workplace today. How do you build those relationships through Zoom? How do you build the relationships when you are in person, maybe once or twice in the year? So I definitely will say consistent communication and transparency. I have seen that have immediate impact with teams when leaders are trying to lead them, gain their trust, engage them, and get results.
Absolutely. I suppose that would also ensure employee retention, as you said, when people feel sort of valued. And really, myself also as a CEO, when I affirm my team members and give them acknowledgement for their contributions, I can tell that that's appreciated, you know.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
like it's like the gold star when we're a little kid, we all still want that acknowledgement for our efforts and our
Absolutely.
contribution.
And it's so important, whenever I look at exit interview data, or even talking to my peers in the inside our industry and outside the industry, the feedback is all the same. People tend to leave not the job itself, but they leave because they don't feel connected, they don't feel included, they don't feel they belong. And so those are all things that we have control over and helping individuals be part of whatever ecosystem we're building. And
Absolutely.
absolutely, yeah.
So now, how does emotional intelligence, which is one of the pillars of your coaching philosophy, why is it crucial for leaders, and how can they develop this skill?
Yeah, so emotional intelligence allows leaders to navigate interpersonal relationships with empathy and self-awareness, right?
Mhm.
Which in turn fosters stronger connections and also it reduces conflict. And within that, I would say seeking feedback is so important and being tuned in to emotions is very important. It's really about leading both with head and heart,
Mhm.
making decisions that consider both data and humanity.
Mhm.
And, I'll say that again. I think, making decisions and connecting, looking at the data, we're always tuned into, well, what does the data say? But we need to also factor in the humanity side of it as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we are emotional creatures, and in business, we have interpersonal relationships, and that's what it comes down to. So, yes, no matter how we're delegating or working with others in a formal corporate environment, we mustn't forget that it is still a relationship, and
Yeah.
that the emotional acknowledgement of each other is equally important.
Yep. It's validating. Absolutely.
Exactly. So, your book, The Feedback Blueprint, uh, tell me more about it.
My book is The Feedback Blueprint. Um, and the feedback blueprint is all about how to give feedback in a rapid changing work environment. And what makes the feedback blueprint, I think, special, it's kind of an expansion of the typical feedback. And everybody hates it. The reason why I wrote this book is that it's the one thing that leaders struggle with no matter where you go, no matter what industry. No one likes giving feedback. Employees don't like hearing feedback. And then, organizations dread that one time of year, performance reviews, where, they're having to give feedback. And so I wanted to create a roadmap that was simple, easy to use. I use storytelling as part of the learning process. And looked at, what is the situation? What is the behavior? What is the impact? And then I built in with self-awareness and reflection, and then putting together next steps. I found that leaders, when I was conducting my research for my dissertation, I found that leaders that were highly successful had high self-awareness and reflection as part of their normal process. And I think that when leaders are giving feedback, if there's absence of that awareness, their self-awareness and awareness of the person they're having a conversation with, it creates misfires, as I call them. Uh,
That's incredible. And, I think feedback is so important, and for leaders to create and cultivate an environment where that constructive criticism is warmly welcomed, and I think that has a lot to do with delivery and tact of the leader, how they are approaching their employees who need to make changes and adjustments in uh, their work, their behaviors, their attitudes, etc. So I think your book is, vital and going to be necessary for leaders. Where can they get a copy of that book?
yes, my book is through Amazon. It's
Okay.
on Amazon and also on my website, theleadershipwise.com.
Excellent. So now, what are some of the biggest challenges that leaders face today, and how do you help them navigate these obstacles through your coaching programs?
Yeah, so I think there are a couple of challenges. One, managing remote teams. Two, adapting to rapid change, as we were just talking about earlier.
Hmm.
And, I think the third is mobilizing a very diverse workforce. We have different generations, we have different backgrounds and different skill sets, and there's so many different things all bundled into one. But what I think is important and what I help leaders with is what are the right adapt? How do you adapt, right? How do you
Hmm.
in cultural competence? And also, most importantly, is resilience, right? I find that a lot of leaders are somewhat reinventing themselves. And what does that look like in the workforce today?
Absolutely. Being able to pivot in the event of setbacks, obstacles, challenges is critical to success and to forward progress in any organization and really relationship too. So now, in your work, you focus on creating cultures where people and organizations thrive. What are the key elements of a thriving workplace, and how can leaders foster this environment?
So I would say a thriving workplace is built on trust. We've talked about trust. Also, it's built on, creating a culture of belonging and a shared sense of purpose. Leaders that can foster that sort of environment and prioritize well-being, encouraging open dialogue, recognizing achievements, and aligning their team goals with individual strengths tend to have faster success, at least based on my observation. And, I mean, it was basic when people feel seen and valued and empowered, they tend to bring their best selves to work.
Absolutely. And I'm sure there are some tips that you offer in one of your other books, correct? I believe it's Facilitator's Guidebook with
Yeah.
8 essential steps to inspire others and build a thriving workforce.
Yes, that was my first book, and that was actually I combined everything from my dissertation and bundled it. It's around servant leadership, and I studied organizations that are led or was led by servant leaders and the behaviors that were able to manifest within the organization. Is very powerful,
I
and
love that. I mean, I'm a born again Christian, so like, Jesus Christ is my teacher, right? The role model for that. And so he was the ultimate, servant leader, teaching us that, um,
he's mine as well. Is mine as well. And I always try to bleed a lot of that into what I do. Treat folks with respect and I think if we look at mankind and the humanity aspect of what we do and who we are,
mhm.
I think it will help us move in a better direction.
Well, absolutely. And for me, obviously, I run Beverly Hills Magazine and sort of incorporating a lot of the biblical principles of how Jesus teaches us to lead as a servant leader, really um, lends to greater success because those principles work when we apply them to our family or our business, et cetera.
They
Um,
really, yes.
yeah, absolutely. Did you want to elaborate?
No, no, I was just echoing what you said. I
Mhm.
believe that. Yes.
So now, as workplaces continue to evolve, what leadership traits or practices do you believe will be most important, let's say in the next decade?
So I think it'd be a couple of things. Definitely adaptability, understanding how to collaborate and how to build team synergies, I think is important. Um, and they're more on the softer skills. Technical skills are that's the easy aspect. The
Hmm.
leadership piece, I think, will become more problematic because the workforce is just changed. It's just completely different. And whether it's the language we use, whether it's the technology we use, whether it's the processes, whether it's how the business connects, th those are all different dynamics, and those dynamics are all moving in concert at rapid speed.
Absolutely. So now, how can leaders strike the balance between being authentic but still maintaining their authority and respect in their roles?
Yeah, I think it's about aligning actions with your values, being transparent when appropriate. But more so, it comes from leading with confidence, clarity, and consistency. And I think consistency is so key. People just they want to know that they can rely on you and they want to know that you're relatable. They want to know that you're authentic, that you are who you say you are, and they can disagree with you. But if they can rely on just those components, you're ahead of the game.
It's so true. Like with my team, I've cultivated a culture of um, friendship. If we all understand our roles and we're committed to fulfilling that roles in excellence, but still maintaining that air of, as you said, relatability is so important.
Yeah, and empathy. It's amazing. Empathy is just so important. People are coming into work with so many different complexities, right?
Absolutely.
Very polarized state right now, and just having empathy for where people are, and it goes a long way. It just really does. You know, you might not understand it fully, but just to say, listen, I will hear you, I will listen to you. We're here for you, and how can we support you? It's just it could dramatically change someone's trajectory.
Absolutely. For me too, I do I lead my team in prayer. If we have a virtual Zoom meeting, it's very spiritually important to acknowledge that we all are, carrying not only the weight of our duties and responsibilities in the workplace, but also our spiritual growth and our spiritual journeys, which can be just as challenging. And so I think for me as a leader to have that prayer and acknowledgement of our spiritual lives as well is equally important.
Absolutely. And I weave that into all of my, I have a blog on my website. I weave a lot of the principles into my writing and then also my Instagram as well, which I really try to focus on how can I inspire people, right?
Yes,
And how
yes.
can I uplift? And I really focus on uplifting. And if I write about leadership, a lot of it's the biblical principles.
Mhm.
And it's, I want to be the change,
Yes.
and I truly believe if one or two people can create anxiety, destruction, one or two can also create the opposite of that. So I want to be part of that group.
Absolutely. If you want to see the change, you got to be the change.
Absolutely.
So now, have you discovered a personal purpose in what you do? Like, do you believe you're living out your God-given destiny? I personally believe we all have God-given gifts and talents, and that in order to sort of align with our higher spiritual purpose and destiny, we should be utilizing those gifts and talents to reach our potential and to contribute the highest and best of ourselves to the world. Is that something you feel you are living in or achieved yet, or kind of where are you at with that?
I definitely believe in living out your God-given talent. I
Mm.
definitely believe everybody has a superpower. I
Yeah, I
think
love that.
God He gives all of us a superpower, if you choose to use it, right? Some use it
It's
for,
true.
and so I would say, my superpower that God has given me is the ability to listen and to bring in, um, I would say, harmony is kind of a flowery word, but to bring in a cohesive, collaborative, collective way of doing things.
Love that.
And
Absolutely. Yeah, that kind of wisdom and ability definitely comes from God. I mean, unity is the culture of heaven, really. So, and obviously, being a Christian, the Lord's Prayer I say daily, which is, Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I think that is God's will ultimately for us, is to cultivate a heavenly environment, not only in our families but in our businesses, and that does. It entail harmony, unity, love, compassion, empathy, all of those things that we need, not the division, the confusion that we have witnessed for too many years now. And I think that we are kind of on a precipice where we as individuals have to be the change, and we have to start implementing these values in our workplaces and in our families in order change change the generation and to change the trajectories of our families and of our businesses and of the future generation. It's our
abs-
responsibility.
It really is. We have more in common than we do differences. The differences
Mhm.
is what makes us unique and which kind of gives us our own flair, as I like to say. But we come in with commonalities. Whether you have teenagers that you want to escape from some days, or with
Right.
pets in your, or whether you grew up in the Midwest, West Coast. I actually grew up in Long Beach on the West Coast, but
Oh, cool.
and so, there's more, whether, we enjoy cooking, we're wife, there are more in common. I think the difference is because it's so magnified, it's blinding people to really see how in the humanity in each other. And
Right.
I think that's just missing. And
Well, for me, I believe it's the devil. I think there is kind of an evil force we're all fighting against, and that only the devil wants us to live in division, but God's will, again, is for us to live in unity and harmony. And
right.
that's a wonderful thing. So, what's next for Leadership Wise? Are there exciting projects, new books? What initiatives are on the horizon that you'd like to share?
Yeah, so well, the feedback blueprint just launched, so I'm enjoying the conversations coming out of that. I am well, I'm actually doing a lot of research right now around mentoring, and I really want to understand this whole concept of mentoring. A lot of companies really struggle with it, but I'm just right now just doing some preliminary research around that. And then for leadership wise, I will continue to build out the website around the blogs. I really want to create, kind of a one-stop shop for that new leader, or for, well, someone that aspires to be a leader, where they can get, information quickly, but also consume it in a way that is helpful. Um, and that's really what I'm focused on, is providing purposeful information to build good leaders in organizations. There's training development typically is out the door first and the last thought of, but the most critical for organizations. If you don't have good leadership, you will not have a workforce. I believe that.
Absolutely. And so the book again is Facilitator's Guide, the Feedback Blueprint, Unlocking the Power of Constructive Insights. Now, with the mentoring you mentioned, is there opportunity for our listeners to work with you as a mentor, as a coach, or in any way, sort of, for lack of a better word, hire you, bring you on, consult with them to be able to implement some of your teachings and strategies found in your book? Or for now, is the information available solely in your book?
The information, I mean, they definitely can connect with me. There's a team that works with me, and I do have my day job. But
Aha,
again,
got it.
but these are the things that I truly, really enjoy. And there's a team that um, I work with as well, where folks can always get the support that they need. But for, what's in front of me now is really focused on having the work, which you were describing, there's a facilitator's guide that I created so organizations can kind of take the playbook and run with it, if there's something that they're wanting to introduce in their organization. And I'm always happy to have a conversation of how they might do that in a productive way.
Excellent. Well, I love it. It's been an honor connecting with you. Thank you so much for sharing some of your valuable and powerful insights on leadership. And for those of you listening, get the book. It will change the way that you operate your business and create and cultivate a culture that will enable your business to thrive with the right leadership insights. So, again, God bless you. It's been such a pleasure. I wish you endless and boundless success and a happy new year.